August 12, 2018. What's my line? Reverend Charlie Tupper. Given at Unity of Payson, Arizona.
Me too. Look at you guys. I mean, I knew that I was excited, but now I'm really, really excited. So I had the pleasure of being present when Neil stood up in front of everyone and announced the possibility of moving here. And I was so excited about that possibility, and I told him, I'm holding for that. I just think that is great. I think it's a fabulous idea, and this is, it's like God is good, and it is good. And so when I got the news that it had actually transpired, I was doing like a little happy dance. Well, you have to understand that there is this myth. I'll be nice. I'll call it a myth. Going around. There's two things. One is that churches are shrinking and people aren't going to church anymore or going to spiritual centers, because they can get it online, they can get it in TV, they can read the latest, greatest book, they can go to a workshop. What do they need to go to church for? And I say that's not true. This is a demonstration that's not true. The other myth is that unity is the best kept secret. And whenever I hear somebody say that, I say, no. No. I'm not going there. I will not affirm that. It is not the best kept secret. It is not a secret. It is a good, vital, viable, spiritual movement. And it is not a secret. Again, demonstration. So I am celebrating this morning and saying, yay, God. Okay, that had nothing to do with my I just had to do my little, happy dance. So I'm going to begin this morning. We're going to shift gears now, and I'm going to begin this morning with a story. And this story happens to be about a music teacher at a small community college. And the semester is beginning, and the students come into the class, and she begins teaching. And as she's teaching, she notices a young man who kind of slides in the back door. He's hunched over, he's scruffy looking and disheveled, and he doesn't make eye contact with anyone. He doesn't smile, and he just slips into the back row, sits there, doesn't participate in any of the discussion, and at the end of class just slides out and leaves. And this is how he attends class every week. Every class, this is how he attends class. When he turns in his homework assignments, you can tell that he didn't put a lot of effort into it, just kind of did it. She would see him out on the lawn eating his lunch all by himself. And she'd walk over and try to build some type of rapport with him, a professional rapport, to try to understand what's going on with this young man. And when she would ask him questions, he would just nod, shake, shrug. But she couldn't really get him to engage in anything. And it comes to the end of the semester, and it's time for her to give the final exam. And she is sure that this young man is not going to do well. Because this young man hasn't done well all semester, and she hasn't seen any shift in what's going on with him. So she gives the final exam, and at the end of the exam, she tells the students to come to her office on Tuesday. She will meet with them one-on-one. She will give them back their exam and give them their grade for the semester. Well, Monday night, she is just in angst. She doesn't know what she's going to do because she is known for being strict but fair in her grading. And she is a woman of integrity, and she needs to be able to be a woman of integrity, but she's just in angst about this young man and what grade she's going to give him, and she hasn't made up her mind yet what she's going to do. Well, the next day she goes to her office, and the students show up, and they're in line outside the office door, and she brings them in one at a time and talks to them, gives them their test, their grade. And she notices that he's not in the line. And sure enough, by the time she meets with the last person in line, he still hasn't arrived. And she's thinking to herself, well, that was a lot of worry for nothing. He didn't even show up. And she's really, still you can tell that she just, there's just something about this. Well, she starts to leave. She's starting to pack up all her stuff to leave the office. And he shows up. And he says, I know I'm late, but if you would please, I would really appreciate it if you would give me my grade. So she says, okay. So she brings him into the office, and he sits down. And he tells her that he knows that he hasn't pulled his load. He knows that he hasn't participated in discussions, and he only gave half an effort on his homework, and he's sure that he did not do well on the final exam. And he goes on to say this: I am lazy, selfish, stupid, and ugly, no good for anything person. I have no place on this earth, and what's more, no one can ever love a person like me. I am a hopeless case with absolutely no future. Well, she had made a decision when she invited him to come into the room that she was going to drop out of her head and down into her heart and listen to what this young man had to say. And this is her response to him. She says, I'm giving you an A. And he looks at her and says, what? And she says, I'm giving you an A. You may appear to be a D student, but you are an A person. And I'm giving you an A. She said, I believe in you now and will always believe in you. I am here for you now and will always be here for you. I love you. And I want you to go out that door, and I want you to do great things with your life. So the young man gets up and leaves. And she goes home, and that night, the ego pops up and goes, I wonder if I was had. wonder if I was manipulated here. If I should have, was I really being in integrity with myself by giving him an A when he didn't do the work? About 3 in the morning, her phone rings, and it's a priest. And he says that he is the young man's priest. And he says, the family has asked me to call you and express their deep gratitude for saving his life today. The priest went on to tell her that the young man, the reason he was late to show up to get his grade was because he was putting his affairs in order. And that before he had left the house, he had left a note on his pillow. And the note said, I am sorry that I could not be the kind of son and brother you all wanted me to be. All I ever wanted was to be loved. I am sorry for being unlovable. I will go now. You will find me in the closet. I am sorry for any inconvenience I have caused you. Please have my body cremated. My small savings is in the top right drawer of the dresser. The priest told her that after the young man left her, he didn't go home and follow through on what he was planning to do. He went for a walk instead, and he took her words and he kept saying them over and over to himself. He'd say, somebody loves me. Somebody said that they believed in me. They believed I was worth something. They said that they would be there for me. And she must have said it in a way that he really believed her. The next semester, this young man is back in her class, only this time he's in the class. He's participating in the discussions. He's tutoring other students, getting A's on all of his assignments and his final exam, and goes on to do good things with his life. It was the power of her spoken word. Today I want to talk about, we're going to see if I can do this. Maybe.
No.
You know?
It has to go that way, towards that.
For this? What am I doing?
Let me see.
You do it.
You can point at me. It was turned off. Here.
Oh.
Here you go.
Hey, Mike.
Today I want to talk about What's My Line? Anybody remember the movie or the TV show from the 50s? What's My Line? The mystery guest would sign in.
Yep.
Those are actually on YouTube. They're kind of fun to watch. So, what's your line? This young man's line was that he wasn't worth anything. So why bother? He wasn't lovable. So why bother? But what's your line? Recently, I have discovered what my line is. What one of my lines is, I should say. I'm sure more will be revealed. But one of my lines is, I'm a shy introvert who can't make small talk. Yeah, sit there and laugh at me. I'm a learned extrovert in order to survive. But that's my line. It doesn't matter whether anybody else thinks it's true or not. It's a matter of what I think. And that's true about your line too. Whatever your line is, that belief that you have, that you hold on to, that puts a little distance between you and expressing your fullness. One of the things that I have been affirming is one of my favorite quotes, and it happens to be a Charles Fillmore quote. And I think I've said this here before, but he's saying it in third person. I'm saying it in first person. It is my mission to express all that I can imagine God to be. This is my standard of achievement. I will not lower it. I will not allow anyone to belittle it or call it sacrilege. If my mind conceives it, it is for me to attain. The question that comes up with that happens to be, so how big is my God? If I am here to express all that I can imagine God to be, how big is my God? And if I'm here to express all that I can imagine God to be, then I need to be very careful about what I'm saying. In The Quest, a Unity textbook written by Richard and Mary Alice Jaffola, it says, "Words are the lasers of human thought. They likened it to walking into a room and the room is dark and you turn the lights on in the room and the light disperses all over the room. It just goes into every nook and cranny, every place. It just disperses. And they say that's what our thoughts are like. We've got these thoughts and they just, they are all over the place. They just go. And they just keep going. But when we go to speak our word, we hone them in and they become coherent. And when they become coherent, it's like a laser. It is that precision. And so when we speak our word, we want to be speaking with that type of precision. And when we speak that type of precision and we speak it as truth, we speak it clearly and with intent, it cannot help. It is the law. It must do as we have spoken. In Isaiah it says, "So shall my word be that flows out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but shall accomplish that which I purposed and succeed in the thing for which I sent it." Our word cannot return to us empty. Whatever it is that we put out there is going to come back. And so we practice putting it out there. We practice speaking the truth. Now, in order to do that, I think that it's very important for us to recognize two different aspects of ourselves. And that would be individuality and personality. So our personality shifts and changes depending on who we're with and what the trending thought or race consciousness is at the moment. Our personality is our shapeshifter. It's that aspect of us that, depending on where we're at and who we're with, or what the current belief system is how we're going to show up. Our individuality is the truth of who we are and is unchangeable. It is God expressing as us. is unchangeable. And so, as we focus on our individuality, as we use that power of our spoken word to focus on our individuality, to focus on that truth of God expressing as us, what does that look like? What would I like that to look like? The song we sang before the meditation said, I am love, I am power, I am life eternal. That's our individuality. That's the truth of who we are. The more we focus on the truth of who we are, our individuality grows and our personality diminishes. And you can see this in some people. It's almost as if they appear as if they're egoless. And they don't change based on where they're at. They just show up as love. They just show up as kindness. They just show up peace, compassion, joy. Regardless of what's happening out here. Now I have some good news and some what you might not think of as good news, but as excellent news, that I have to talk about when I talk about this. Because what happens when we focus on our individuality and we begin to really own that truth of who we are? When we begin to own that we are prosperous, when we begin to own that we are whole, healthy, harmonious, that we live with right relationships, that we have loving relationships, that we are love and compassion and expression. When we begin to own these things, it demonstrates in our lives. And at first, it's like, I can remember when I first came into Unity and I first started affirming that I was prosperous. It was like God opened the door and all this good kept coming in. And at one point somebody said to me, so Charlie, what's your favorite thing to do? And I said, oh, watch God work. This is just way too much fun. I can hardly wait to see what's going to happen next. What happens is as we're diminishing that personality, as we're healing that which is unlike the truth of who we are, sometimes a little bubble pops up. I like to call it a little bubble of consciousness. Pops up. And we will experience in the outer world what appears to be the opposite of what we've been working on. And we think, what the heck? I've been doing it right. I've been doing my denials and my affirmations, and I've been doing my meditations, and I've been speaking my word clearly and with intent, and what the heck? Did God leave the building? Well, Emily Cady in Lessons in Truth says, this is a time not to quit, but a time to affirm and deny firmly. To use your denials and your affirmations and do it firmly. To deny the appearance has any power over you. See it for what it is. I have known spiritual teachers, and I had one. I called her whining. I've been doing it right, and it was all falling apart. And her response back to me wasn't, oh, you poor thing. Let's figure out what's going wrong and I'll help you fix it. It was, congratulations. And I'm like, for what? And she said it wouldn't be happening if you weren't doing the work. It means that you are, that you're pushing through that last vestige of this false belief about yourself. And that as we push through that last vestige of that false belief about ourselves, we come out on the other side. We come out on the other side and we know the truth. We know it in a way that it is not just a head knowledge thing. It is we know it. Nobody could tell us anything different. Life is not always as it appears to be. When we experience these challenges, that's where prayer comes in. That's where community comes in. We can share what it is that we experienced. And people can lift us up in prayer, just as this teacher did with that young man. See beyond the appearance to the truth, to the absolute truth. The truth is where truth abides, sickness cannot reside. And I put sickness in there, but it could be anything else. It could be where truth abides, lack cannot reside. Where truth abides, conflict cannot reside. Where truth abides, sadness cannot reside. We have within us the power, the love, the life eternal, the ability to express that which we have come here to express. We're here to do it together. Yes, we have to do our own individual work, but we are here to do it together. One person changes their consciousness, it changes race consciousness. There is but one mind. So every time that we do our work and we heal something within ourselves, we heal the world. We make a difference. God bless.